to be too dark about these things. Today's about celebration, but there are serious points to be made. And the contribution that the Jewish community have made, the contribution that so many multi-faith and multicultural communities within Victoria make towards what is the best place to live, is all wrapped up, is all held together by the notion of respecting others, being tolerant, and always looking out for those who are perhaps disadvantaged. The Jewish community have a proud record of advocating, of pushing governments, of raising these issues, and we thank you for the great support that you have given us as lawmakers in this state to put in place frameworks to protect those in our community that are vulnerable now and, as Michael noted, may well perhaps be vulnerable in the years to come. So, thank you. I wish you a happy Purim. Thank you for inviting me along today. As Minister, I'm absolutely delighted to have been appointed as the Minister for Multicultural Affairs. As Joshua mentioned, we are a very culturally diverse community. My own local electorate, almost half of the people who live in my local community were not born here. So multiculturalism and multi-faithism is something that I live every day. It's a key feature of what makes Victoria such a great place to live. Events like this are important. I thank you for your work. I thank you for your great dedication to tolerance and to harm. And I wish you well for the rest of 2007. Thank you.
Which talks about building the relationship between Israel and Victoria in the areas of biotechnology. And I think they've made some real headway in building that relationship. So thank you, Tony, for your work and the government's work in that regard. Our next speaker is Helen Shardy, who is again a very familiar face to probably all of you here. Helen's the member for Caulfield. She's been in Parliament for 11 years and she's the Shadow Minister for Health. We're very fortunate to have Helen in Parliament. She's had experience in the private sector, she's been in academia, she worked as a staff for Michael Woolridge. But Helen has said before that to her politics is not a job, but a way of life. She brings great vigour to the role, she's a great supporter of the Jewish community, and we're very privileged to have her address us today. Helen Shardy.
Thank you very much indeed, and it is a great pleasure to be here, and I'd like to recognise rabbis, my parliamentary colleagues, John So, the Mayor of Melbourne, and Josh Frydenberg, and it's great to see some newcomers to this lineup. Josh, member for Flinders, and Daniel Andrews, I'm new to this event, and it is an unusual event. We all know it's an unusual event, but it's one that I have enjoyed enormously for the past 10 years. In fact, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions, I was at the very first Purim Festival celebration by the Chabad CBD, and it was a very small group of people. I think there were about 15 of us. And as I've also said, I was the only woman in the group. So it's wonderful to see this lovely mixed audience here today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. I'm sure you shall. Last year I did speak about this festival being about fancy dress and hamantashen. I also spoke about Purim as a festival where we focus on helping and giving to the needy. And I think I said at the time that perhaps that message of giving to the needy is one that could be shared more broadly with the broader community or the wider community. We have a few lessons to learn, I think, from the Jewish community, and that is one. But as we celebrate the festival of Purim today, it's amazing that a number of speakers have raised the reality of the world we live in. Josh Frydenberg has raised it, Michael Danby has raised it, this issue over Iran. And I think what is fascinating is that there's recognition given to the fact that that country, which is now seen as a threat to the Jewish people, is in fact in the same place geographically, Persia. And so we must think about this and we must understand it, that it is not something that is fickle, it is something which is very serious. The President of Iran has called for the wiping off the map of the State of Israel. His country sponsors terrorism by giving funding to Hezbollah and Hamas. And of course there was that conference, that Holocaust Denial Conference in Tehran. And the President of Iran called the Holocaust a fairy tale. It is anything but a fairy tale, as you all know. But Holocaust denial has been the means by which those in the past and now in the present try and deny the State of Israel. But we know that the United Nations, in response to the Holocaust, supported the establishment of the State of Israel. And Israel today incorporates Holocaust history as part of its very fabric, as part of the way the country operates, and it is something that is so important. I know when we raise these issues, it sort of puts a damper a little on our festivities, but I do think it's important that we recognise the connection and understand the seriousness of this issue. Perhaps the Jewish community, in remembering those who died in the Shoah through this new initiative which has been going for some days now, 60 days for 6 million, we can look back on the miraculous survival and triumph of the Jewish nation in the Persia of long ago. So let it be a lesson to pursue that which we know is right, to strive to convey to others the need to fight terrorism and preserve the State of Israel. And let us face the future with confidence and with commitment. Before I close, I'd just like to quote from my message to you here today, and it's a message from Rabbi Schneerson. He stressed, just as the tables turn so swiftly from despair to joy in days of old, one's life can turn from darkness to light in an instant. Once rising above it all, one can rejoice in new beginnings. And I hope we can truly rejoice in new beginnings, that things in our world will change for the better. But in the meantime, I wish you all, you and your families, a very happy and wonderful Purim, and say Chag Sameach.
Thank you, Helen, for that warm message of hope. I'd like to introduce now our final speaker for the afternoon, the Lord Mayor John So. John was born in China. He moved to Melbourne when he was 17, attending Melbourne Uni High. And since then he's always campaigned against discrimination in our society and promoted tolerance. He went within one vote of winning the mayorship in Melbourne in 1999, but he came back with a vengeance, something we all respect in politics, in 2001 to become mayor, and since then has presided over a very successful running of the Commonwealth Games and a number of other initiatives to promote Melbourne, with his popularity recognised, being selected as World Mayor for 2006. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our very popular local Mayor, John So.
Thank you, Joseph, for your kind introduction. To Rabbi Mielecki and to Joseph Frydenberg, Luncheon Chairman, to members of Parliament, Gray Hunt, Michael Denby, Daniel Andrews, Helen Shardy, Tony Lupton, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, I respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered here on the traditional land of the Kulin Nation, now known as Melbourne. And on behalf of the City of Melbourne, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to Melbourne Town Hall. I would like to begin by offering congratulations to the Chabad of Melbourne CBD as it celebrates 10 years of services in our city. Melbourne is known for its multicultural society and its fantastic range of cultural events every year. That reputation has been earned thanks to the dedication and passion of our motivated community leaders. Every year, the City of Melbourne works very closely